All right, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is Wednesday, February 24th. We're going to do lesson 9 today, writing, adding, and subtracting expressions. Remember, an expression is what? Who can remember? What do we say about an expression? Write this down since you're not remembering. It's a math sentence. They're going to tell you to write expressions all over the place in the next few lessons. So when they say write an expression, I need you to know what that means. Okay? We're going to draw a tape diagram to show 3 plus 5. How do you think that would look? Peyton. Two different tape diagrams, right? Okay. So there's 3. Plus 5. When they say plus, it means to add, right? What would it look like if you had to show it this way? 5 plus 3. How would that look, Ethan?
Opposite.
How do you mean opposite?
The 5 would be first and the 3 would be last.
Absolutely right. So if they said it the other way, 5 plus 3, it would look that way. Taylor, read the next question.
Are these two expressions equivalent?
So I have 5 plus 3 and 3 plus 5. Are those equivalent? What does equivalent mean, Parker?
Does it mean the same?
That they mean the same. Do they mean the same? Is 3 plus 5 the same as 5 plus 3?
Yes.
Who can tell me, $1,000,000 question, what property that is? We talked about it yesterday. We wrote it in our composition books. Caleb. Okay, why'd you raise your hand, dude? Composition books, what property is that from yesterday? I see 1 or 2 people getting organized. Because here's the thing, guys. You got to pass 6th grade yourself. You can't let other people do the work for you and then plan to go to 7th grade math. Check and see. Everybody has that information. It's in your book. That's a problem. What property says 5 plus 3 is the same as 3 plus 5? Peyton. Commutative. So write the word commutative property. That's going to be on the quiz Friday. I'm going to give you a math sentence. And I'm going to say which property is that. You're going to need to know that. It's right in your book, so I know you can find it. Okay, here's where the algebra starts. Now we're going to talk about a number. A number. They're not telling us what number, so that means we have to use a variable. Increased by 2. So tell me, what does the word increased by tell you think you're going to do? We're going to increase something. Caden. So is that add, subtract, multiply, or divide? It is add. So increase by means to add. A number, watch this, increased by 2. We're not drawing models. Okay? All right, that was a quick first page. Okay, tell me what you think I'm going to highlight in this sentence. Dominic, read this one. Shh, we're at the top of the second page.
Write an expression to show the sum of M and N.
Perfect. So what does it mean when it uses the word sum? What kind of math is that going to be, Olivia? It is going to be add. And what two things am I going to add, Olivia? M plus K. Does that make sense? We already talked about that. Okay, adding is pretty simple because I can switch them around any direction, right, Thomas? 2 plus 3 is the same as 3 plus 2. So I can switch those around, right? What about in subtraction? Can you switch them around in subtraction? No, because 5 minus 2 and 2 minus 5 are totally different numbers. Does that make sense? So that means this. Subtraction's a little bit harder because it does matter which one comes first. So you have to be able to think about the words and figure out which one comes first. So we'll start out with an easy one, okay? How can we show 10 minus 6 with the tape diagram? So what am I going to start with? The 10 or the 6, Brooklyn? I'm going to start with the 10. So make your tape diagram for 10. There's my tape diagram for 10. If I'm going too fast, just raise your hand and tell me. Ethan, how do I take away 6 of those?
Cross out 6.
Cross out 6. That is absolutely right. So now we have to write that as an expression. Remember, an expression is a math sentence. What math sentence would I write down? Dominic?
10 minus 6.
You're a genius. Could I switch the numbers around? Could we also use 6 minus 10?
No.
Well, let's check and see. Let's check and see, just for kicks. What is 10 minus 6? Taylor?
4.
What is 6 minus 10? Now, you have a number line on your table. Here's 0. Watch what I'm going to do. 6 minus 10. Where do I end up? On your number line. Negative 4. Exactly right, Jason. Are those the same answers? Nope.
Kind of.
So, well, they're totally different numbers. So here's the thing. For subtraction, it does matter which one comes first. All right. Now, this right here is really, really important part of the lesson. So pay close attention now. Get your brain going because this part right here, this part messes people up sometimes. So let me show you what it is. Highlight where it says 3 less than a number. Highlight just that part. 3 less than a number. Jackson, stand up. I'm going to use you as an example. Jackson's going to stand up and he's going to hold up 5 fingers. Jackson's a 5. Thomas, stand up. I'm going to do multiple times. Thomas, what is 3 less than 5? 3 less than that. Exactly right. It's a 2. Good job. You guys can sit down. Ashlyn, stand up. Ashlyn's a 10. 10 fingers up. All 10. Tyler, stand up. What's 2 less than that?
You said 8.
Oh, okay, 8. Yes. So here's the point of that lesson. You ready? You guys can sit down. If I want to know 3 less than that number, I have to know what that number is first, don't I? If it's a 10 or a 5. So what's crazy about this is when you write this as an expression, the number has to come first, and then you know what's 3 less than that. What's 3 less than that? Now here's why it messes people up. When you read the sentence, what do you read first? You read the 3 first and the number second. So people think this comes first and that comes second. But we just showed you an example twice. Let's do another one. Omari, stand up. 8 fingers. Omari's an 8.
Oh,
Come on, you can do it. Caleb, Connor, stand up. What's 4 less than that?
That is going to be
4 less than that is also 4. So you see how the number has to come first before you can do less than that. So here's what I want you to do. Circle where it says less than, because that's when you know you have to switch the numbers around. You have to know the number first before you can take 3 less than that. That's the tricky one. Okay, that's the only tricky one here. Make sense? Okay, watch this. We're on example 6. Okay, now that we did simple add and subtract, we're going to make it one step more complicated, not harder, just one more part. Okay, it's exactly the same thing we did before. Write an expression. So you know we're going to write a math sentence where it says C is being subtracted from the sum of A and B. So now we have A, B, and C. Now we have 3 parts, not just 2. So let's break it down into 2 pieces. Let's do this first. How do you write the sum of A and B? Dominic.
A plus B.
Okay, that makes sense so far? Now, show that C is being subtracted from it. What do I do now? C is being subtracted from that. Omari?
So C is going to be subtracted.
From this. So where do I put the minus C?
Put it.
I got this, and I'm going to subtract C, right? So let me ask you a question. Maybe Quaid already knows what I'm going to do. Oh, you're going to, okay.
Can you put the C in front and put the parentheses around A and B?
Okay, let's talk about that's 2 different things. So let me ask you this first question. Does it say to subtract C from this? Or does it say to subtract C from all of that? All of it, because it says from the sum of A and B. So Quaid is right. We have to put parentheses in there. Now here it says C is being subtracted from that. So the minus C has to go at the end. The only time you switch it around in subtraction if it says C less than. Okay, whenever you see that less than, then you got to stop and think for a minute. But that just says subtracted from. Now, okay, and we already answered that. Okay, let's try another one. You ready? C minus the sum of A and B. Now, where do you think we would start? Omari?
You're going to put the C minus.
C minus,
And then put A and B. A plus B.
but it says the sum of A plus B. So it's not just minus A, it's minus the whole thing.
Oh, okay.
So here's the second clue. Clue number 2. Whenever you see the words the sum of, put parentheses around whatever they're talking about. So if they say the sum of A and B, then you have to get the sum of A and B. A and B has to be in parentheses. So those are really the only 2 things. It's like that less than thing and the sum of thing. Here it says to replace the variables with numbers to see if this is the same as this. So give me a minute here. I've got an A, a B, and a C. So we have to pick numbers for that. So Jason, pick a number between 1 and 10, and I'll let you pick the number for A. What do you want to pick? 5. Brooklyn, your name starts with a B. a number between 1 and 10 for B.
10.
All right, and C, anybody here whose name starts with C?
Caitlin.
Caden,
I thought
pick a number.
20.
Between 1 and 10, friend.
8.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to write this first math sentence. You guys ready? Listen quick. We're going to write this down with the parentheses the first time. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch out each of these letters for the numbers that you guys picked. So for C, Caleb picked an 8. Caden.
Oh, and this one.
For A, shh, guys, for A, Jason picked a 5. And for B, Brooklyn picked a 10. So what do I do first? Do I subtract or add? Think about order of operations. Parker,
You have to add because it's
you got to do parentheses first. So 5 and 10 is 15. Oh, 8 minus 15. You got a number line on your table. Start at 0, go up to positive 8. And then count backwards 15. Where do you end up? Brooklyn, -7. So we got a -7 for that one. Now we're going to do the same thing with no parentheses. You think we'll get the same answer? Probably not. So C is 8, A is 5, and B is 10. And now which part do we do first? I can do add and subtract at the same time, but if there's more than one, where do I start? Derek? Left to right. So I'm going to do this first. 8 minus 5 is 13 and -7. Two totally different answers. But you guys knew that because you've practiced. Anytime you change the order of operations, your number's going to be different. There's one more problem on this page. Caden, read this to me.
Write an expression to show the sum of 7 and 1.5.
Write an expression. So that's a math sentence. The sum of 7 and 1.5. What does the word sum tell us to do, Olivia? Add. And what two things am I going to add, Jackson? 7 and 1.5. So what do you guys think so far? It's a decimal point.
No, there's like a period at the end.
Oh, okay. I heard. I get you. All right. Almost done, guys. We just got a few more things to do. We're not going to draw any more pictures. All right. Okay, here we go. Super easy. Think about this one. Write two expressions. So how many answers am I going to have? 2. To show W increased by 4. We're not drawing models. How do I write W increased by 4, Omari?
You're gonna do W, and then you're gonna put parentheses. Out.
Increased by means to do what? Add, subtract, multiply, or divide. Dominic, please don't do that. Increased by.
Subtract.
Increase means to get bigger. Derek?
Oh, and add.
W increased by 4. Now, what's the other thing you could write that means exactly the same thing? Quade?
4 plus W.
Didn't we learn that you can take two things and you can switch them backwards? And they're still going to be equal, right? What property was that? Commutative. Okay, here's another one. It's getting more fun all the time. The sum of A and B and C. Now instead of 2 things, we got 3 things. I want the sum. So what kind of math problem is a sum?
You put parentheses.
You don't.
Wait, what?
The word, it doesn't say the sum of. Wait, does it say the sum of? It does say the sum of. Okay, I'll give you that one. What else are we going to do? What's going to be in there in the parentheses? I'm going to add A and B and C. How do I write that? Jason? Plus A plus B plus C. Oh, here's that tricky thing I told you about. Look at this. 3 less than P. Less than means I'm going to do what? Add, subtract, multiply, or divide? Subtract, and it matters what order they're in because it's subtraction. 3 less than P. Ethan?
P minus 3.
You're a genius. That's the one people get messed up on. You guys did great. Here's another way to write subtract. You ready for this? The difference of 3 and P. Now it doesn't say less than, so we're not flipping anything around. What's the difference? Difference means to subtract 3 and P. So you see in this case, it's the same 2 things, but if they use the less than term, the P comes first. If it says a difference of, you just put them in order that you read them. That's why that's the tricky part. Make sense? We're only going to do 2 more of these because we're not doing this. Okay. Here's the big challenge of the day. You ready? 4 less than, there's that less than thing. 4 less than the sum of G and 5. So what do I write first?
You write the 4 plus G plus 5.
4 less than.
Oh, 4 minus G plus 5.
You're getting closer. But remember what we said when they throw that less than thing in there, Dominic, what happens?
You have to put parentheses in between the G and the 5.
Yep, so we know the sum of G and 5 has to have that. And I want to know what's 4 less than that. So where does the minus 4 go? In the front or in the back? Taylor?
Yeah.
It does. 4 less than that. Now, same numbers, but they write it a different way. Check this one out. 4 decreased by the sum of G and 5. What do you think decreased by means? Parker? Subtracting. It doesn't say less than, so we're not going to switch them around. It's going to be this. 4 decreased by the sum of G and 5. So that's where we start today. Don't forget there's a quiz on Friday. We're going to do 1 more lesson tomorrow. Here's what I want you to do now. So for today, there are 7 questions in the problem set. Look at question number 1. Write 2 expressions that show a number increased by 11. Where would you start with that one? A number increased by 11. Caleb?
And then I would plus 11.
What's the other way I can write that and get the same thing? Quade?
Equals 11 plus 8.
Okay? You're going to answer all these questions. You're going to go to Cami. You're going to open up Cami and you're going to type in your answers. Make sure for question 1 you type in both answers. We're not drawing any models in there. All you're doing is answering 1 through 7. Well, why don't you get that done and then we'll worry about, and then what? Let's just do it one step at a time, bud. One at a time. Huh? Yes, please put number 1 in. That's part of your grade. I just wanted to make sure you guys realized there were 2 answers there. Caleb, I can hear you all the way up here. Put the other one back on the table. Oops. Okay, so we got 2 correct. Yikes. Everybody did pretty well with it, but my math lab kids struggle. Yeah.
Do we need to like answer the questions like if it asks,
Oh, no. Nope,
like,
just that.
it?
Yep. Just the expression. How's your day so far? Yeah? Good. Oh, shoot, I forgot to stop taping.